Nothing that you do in science is guaranteed to result in benefits for mankind. Any discovery, I believe, is morally neutral and it can be turned either to constructive or destructive ends. That's not the fault of science. Dr. Arthur W. Galston, 2003. Agent Orange, Lives Destroyed, Rights Betrayed. Who Bears Responsibility? By Delaney Eileen
and Alexis Raleigh. A chemical, a plant killer, was the catalyst leading to tragic consequences for millions worldwide. Who knew that this well-intentioned research project to increase agricultural production would turn into the infamous herbicide known as Agent Orange?
The invention of an herbicide known as Agent Orange occurred in the 1940s. By 1946, farmers in the United States were using it to kill broadleaf weeds in their wheat and corn fields, and by the 1950s, it was commonly used for this purpose. It was not originally intended to have the legacy of destruction and death it has today. Dr. Arthur Galston has been given credit as the creator of Agent Orange, even though Galston did not receive the patent for Agent Orange. "Look at me, I was a botanist," said Dr. Arthur Galston. "I inadvertently found something which further developed was used as an instrument of war."
America's involvement in Vietnam escalated after France left Vietnam in 1954. The U.S.'s support for South Vietnam included military aid and advisors to assist against North Vietnam's use of guerrilla warfare tactics. In 1962, the U.S. government compelled U.S. companies to produce Agent Orange under the Defense Production Act of 1950. This was the beginning of Operation Ranch Hand, the spraying of the rainbow herbicides, including Agent Orange.
Agent Orange was named after the orange stripe on its barrel. Contained in these barrels was a deadly mix of chemicals including 2,4-D, 2,4,5-T, and TCDD, the most powerful dioxin produced. The U.S. sprayed Agent Orange over the forests and the rice fields. This was not only a defense reaction, it was a method of attack, used to limit the North Vietnamese food supply. The United States' goal was to spread Agent Orange rapidly, so U.S. troops could advance on the enemy. In order to do this, planes and helicopters, as well as men on the ground, sprayed Agent Orange.
Not only were South Vietnamese and North Vietnamese soldiers exposed to Agent Orange, U.S. soldiers, nurses, chemical corps workers were all knowingly poisoned by this defoliant. John Muir, a U.S. Marine, later recalled, "This was an area heavily sprayed with the herbicide Agent Orange. We were not only wading in it, we were eating and drinking it too. There were lots of particularly hostile forest areas withered away where there were suspected ambush places."
People handling Agent Orange experienced terrible headaches, rashes, memory loss, and severe depression. The U.S. Army did not suspect Agent Orange and pushed the matter to the back of their concerns.
U.S. government reports from 1965 stated companies producing Agent Orange knew it posed a health risk. In fact, Dow Chemical Company stated, "Agent Orange is one of the most toxic materials known, causing not only skin lesions, but also liver damage." Companies had discovered an alternative to Agent Orange with less dioxin, but it would slow manufacturing, and the demand for the herbicide was increasing.
In 1970, Harvard's Matthew S. Meselson and other scientists made a case claiming that, in fact, Agent Orange was toxic to humans. By 1971, Agent Orange spraying was halted. 4 years later, the Vietnam War ended.
After the end of the U.S. involvement in Vietnam, problems began to occur. Agent Orange had affected 5 million acres of land. Rice fields would not produce rice. Where a thick forest once stood, there were now only skeletons of the trees. Signs were erected, warning citizens that Agent Orange had been sprayed. 3 major locations affected the most by Agent Orange in Vietnam are Phu Quoc, Da Nang, and Bien Hoa.
However, in Vietnam, destruction of land wasn't the only consequence. The people were impacted and suffering as well from Agent Orange, including South Vietnamese soldiers, the Viet Cong, farmers, and civilians. Diseases impacting these people included skin diseases, various types of cancers, such as non-Hodgkin lymphoma, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and prostate cancer. Children of exposed victims suffered from spina bifida, heart disease, skin problems, diseases of the organs, deformities, and other birth defects were extremely common as well. Adults and children lost their lives due to the severity of their conditions caused by Agent Orange.
At the same time, problems were occurring in America. Many American veterans were facing similar maladies.
My PSA is coming up and it's going down. And my friend says, "You have cancer." And I says, "What makes you think so, Mac?" He says, "We're the same age. We were in the same place at the same time. I got it 4 months ago. He got it 6 months ago."
Americans were struggling. Veterans and their children were dying. Multiple cases went to litigation. However, one part of their story was missing: what was connected with Agent Orange and what was not. As investigations proceeded, many diseases were linked to Agent Orange exposure. Investigators also disproved some of the cases. After effects of Agent Orange were also occurring in New Zealand, Korea, and Australia. People were dying around the world as Agent Orange's after effects were becoming more common as a medical diagnosis.
James Clary, a former scientist with the Chemical Weapons Branch of Air Force Development Laboratory, stated, "When we initiated the herbicide program in 1960s, we were aware of the potential for damage due to the dioxin contamination in the herbicides. We were even aware that the military formulation had a higher dioxin concentration than the civilian's version due to the lower cost and speed of manufacture. However, because the material was to be used on the enemy, none of us were overly concerned."
Generations have been affected. Between 2.5 and 4.8 million people are fighting the horrors of Agent Orange exposure. Efforts have begun to assist victims and their families. The U.S. government now pays U.S. veterans medical expenses who have been affected by Agent Orange.
They're paying all my medical expenses. I have a pension for being disabled.
However, some do not believe they are receiving the health coverage they deserve from the government.
I just think that that there's a lot of people out there that should have had help that didn't. And like so many good programs, whether it's any kind of government program, it's abused. A lot of times the people that need it the most don't get enough.
U.S. aid has made many visits to Vietnam. Da Nang is currently involved in an ongoing project to rid the area of Agent Orange contamination. It is projected to be done in 2016. Others complain the U.S. is not doing enough. Ben Wilson, president of Children of Vietnam, who works firsthand with Agent Orange affected children, says,
The country's taken them 35 years to begin to do something for the Agent Orange problem in Vietnam.
Agent Orange, all those made to protect U.S. soldiers in the battle against the Viet Cong, harmed them greatly. By not heeding the information of Agent Orange health risk, the rights of the soldiers were betrayed. In addition, the Geneva Convention guarantees how civilians should be protected and treated humanely. America had the responsibility of making sure the substances they used around their soldiers and the foreign civilians were safe. The U.S. now faces the responsibility of cleaning up Agent Orange because of the past responsibility they failed to complete.
by spraying Agent Orange, the United States solved an immediate problem in the Vietnam War, but the defoliant's legacy has been one of denial, sickness, deformities, death, and destruction.
Who bears responsibility? The United States of America is determined to be responsible. Since 1995, the U.S. is working with Vietnam government to restore the land in Vietnam. Private organizations such as Children of Vietnam, Agent Orange Record, and Make Agent Orange History are working diligently to help the human victims of Agent Orange. Here in the United States, Vietnam War veterans and their families are finally receiving health care and support to heal their wounds. Can the damage be undone? Is it enough? For some, the answer is no. Agent Orange has destroyed their lives. Our greatest hope is countries around the world learn from the tragedy of Agent Orange and never again make the same mistakes.